If you've ever had a VA manual underwrite declined, then keep watching. Within just minutes, you'll be an expert on VA manuals, including the credit requirements, collections, waiting periods, extenuating circumstances, rental history, no max DTI, the perfect borrower LOX for credit derogs, and I'm sorry I'm talking so fast, I'm just so excited. It's account executive and mortgageologist Erin Hardin, and in this video, we are going to unearth the underwriter's checklist to getting your VA manual underwrites approved. The number one most important thing about a VA manual is the borrower should have excitingly clean credit for the last 12 months. Just in case you're as broken and distrusting as I am and need to see actual proof of everything, let's take a gander in the VA handbook. It reads, and I quote, "Credit hath no place, glory, nor honor, lest 4 seasons doth pass and nary a foul mark." Actually, that's what Shakespeare said about VA manuals. What VA says is we need 12 months after the date of the last derogatory item. What does 12 months of clean credit really mean? Well, what doesn't it mean? For starters, absolutely no housing or installment lates in the last 12 months, no revolving lates in the last 12 months, and no new collections or charge-offs in the last 12 months. A 1x30 on a credit card could be acceptable if it was completely isolated and outside of their control. On collections, the VA specifically says that 1 or 2 unpaid collections is generally just fine and collections don't have to be paid off. However, if the borrower has a history of numerous unpaid collections, VA says they will need to set up payment plans and wait 12 months before obtaining a VA loan. Judgment should either have been paid off 12 months ago or at least in a payment plan for 12 months, and consumer credit counseling should have been in a payment plan for at least 12 months as well. Bank statements should be free of NSF charges or overdrafts. You can leave bank statements out if you don't need them to show assets because closing costs, prepaids, discount points can typically be financed into the loan. A Chapter 13 bankruptcy has no wait after discharge, and the borrower can be in a Chapter 13 as long as they have made at least 12 timely payments and have the BK Court's permission. Chapter 7 requires 2 years. Exceptions after 1 year are rare, but possible if the borrower meets all extenuating circumstance requirements that we will discuss in just a moment. Short sale and deed in lieu both require a 2-year wait unless the borrower made all payments on time prior to the short sale or deed in lieu, which is rare. A foreclosure also requires 2 years. Exceptions after 1 year can be considered only if the borrower meets all extenuating circumstance requirements that we will discuss right now. All 4 of the requirements below must be met to be considered for an extenuating circumstance to reduce the wait on a Chapter 7 or foreclosure from 2 years to 1 year. The credit event must be proven to have been directly caused by a medical situation, death of a wage earner, or job loss. The circumstance must have happened within about 6 months of the credit event. The credit blemish must have been completely isolated with both stellar credit before and after the event. And like with all VA manuals, the last 12 months of credit must be pretty heckin' impressive. To help explain what isolated looks like, on your screen you'll see 2 actual real-life credit reports where the sensitive information has been blocked out to protect the privacy of the individuals. You never can be too careful. The borrower on the left had a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2020, which you can clearly see was an isolated event as they had perfect credit both before and after the bankruptcy. The borrower on the right had a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2020, and you can see it was not isolated because the borrower has a pattern of lates throughout the credit history. This is important, so listen and listen big. For an extenuating circumstance to be considered in order to waive waiting periods for any loan program, the extenuating circumstance itself must have happened within a few months of the credit event. Otherwise, you cannot justify that those 2 things are related. In the example shown, a job loss in 2018 will likely not justify a foreclosure in 2020. The events must be within around 6 months of each other as a rule of thumb. It used to be 12 months, but now the VA guidelines want a 24-month look back on housing and rental history for the borrowers. If they're living rent-free, just provide a rent-free letter from the landlord. If they are paying rent, a VOR is fine, even a private VOR if the landlord is not family or the seller on our loan. Canceled checks are fine, or having rent added to the credit report is a great way to minimize documentation requirements. Although there's technically no set max DTI for VA manuals, most lenders cap around 50%. If the DTI is over 41%, VA will require that the VA residual income be met, and there's a handy calculator at the link listed, also listed in my post. DTIs over somewhere around 45-ish will need some compensating factors. Did you know that elephants can smell water borrower from several miles away, smell water for several miles. Crazy. Did you know that seller contributions can be applied to the borrower's credit balances, even to pay off judgments at closing or to buy down the rate, both of which could help lower the DTI? From the seller. If you don't think that's awesome, you're wrong. So the VA handbook requires compensating factors with high DTIs. I highly recommend you bullet point to the underwriter in the initial submission what comp factors are present with your VA manual with a high DTI. This is because after years of study, researchers finally determined that underwriters are actually not mind readers. Take 5 minutes and bullet point the strengths of the file and include it in the initial submission. Only if you want it approved. And now we're at the point in the video where your life changes, because I am about to give you the secret to the perfect borrower LOX, which they will need on derogatory credit for the entire report, job gaps over 30 days, or frequent job changes in the last 2 years. Always ask your borrowers to include 3 basic parts on any LOX covering derogatory credit. 1, what happened that was outside of their control? This should not be related to forgetfulness or irresponsibility. 2, what did they do to get caught up or back on track? And perhaps most importantly, 3, what are they doing differently now to keep a similar situation from happening again? An LOX should generally not be more than 1 page, should show the borrower in a responsible light, include details and dates, and be free of typos and grammatical errors when possible. As the loan officer, you should check the dates and info in the LOX and make sure it aligns with the dates and info in the file. If you'd like me to send you a sample borrower LOX like the one on your screen, simply type yes in the comments in this post. And now you're on your way for more VA manual underwriting approvals. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for weekly mortgage videos.